We have these computers on wheels that lock. My patient was trying to get into the bathroom and it was locked in front of the door, and so she couldn't move it. And then she ended up just dumping it all over the floor. She just pooped everywhere. And I walked in and I was like, what the heck is going on in here? And she's like, oh, I couldn't make it. So I was on the ground cleaning it up, kind of contemplating why I went to school for 5 years to do this. Right. And then I was like, oh, dude, my shoes aren't matching. And then soon I realized that I grabbed the wrong pair of shoes. So yeah,
that's the most great thing ever.
I am 28 years old. I've never had a six pack. It's been 20 years of working out. I've never had a six pack.
But we have tacos.
Part of this.
There's another parable about 10 virgins or something about having oil for their lamps. I gotta check the specs again. It's been a while. Basically, there were some that were foolish and didn't prepare for the arrival of the.
Sorry.
No, I know.
He put himself in another corner.
No,
he did it again. We just don't fully understand the bigger picture, and I think that's what makes it so hard. When my sister passed away, that was an extremely hard thing to wrestle with. Of why would a loving God take away my sister?
Eat, pray, love.
Trust, wait, seek.
Eat, sleep,
love,
workout.
live. What is it?
Just all trust, wait,
all
seek.
those 3 word cook, love, whatever. Okay. What was it? What is this whole thing about?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Campfire Council podcast. Thank you for joining us. As always, we appreciate you. Today with us on the council, we have Milo, Wes, Joey's, and myself, Luke. How is everyone doing today?
Not so bad.
Oh, not so bad?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Milo got tacos. I made tacos. You got tacos.
I also got tacos. That was a huge clutch move, Milo. I feel the energy. I was so hungry before. And this podcast is fueled by tacos today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
so,
it is.
Before we get started, make sure to go on to sonandstrength.com. Miranda, our friend, she has a website. It's a Christian clothing brand. You can use code Campfire in all caps to get 20% off. Check it out. She's got a lot of cool stuff on there. Buy some stuff, go support her, and share the love of Jesus. So off of that, Joyce, if you want to go ahead and start it off.
Yes, sir. I thought it'd be good if we talked about God's timing. I don't think that's really a topic that we've hit on quite yet.
We might have
Maybe
briefly touched
yeah.
on it here and there in an episode. I don't think we've had a full episode on it though.
Right. And I've just been seeing it play out in our lives, so that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it and what are the different things that entitle that. So the 3 different kind of things I have for the outline is trust, wait, and seek. Those were the 3 things that really stood out to me as I was kind of researching the topic and finding different verses. I just did the old Google search, Bible verses near me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Really quick, anything you need, you just have to Google near me.
Mm-hmm.
So anything. It could be dogs near me, food near
you'll
me.
Find what you're looking for.
You'll find it.
Wes, what did you Google search? We were in the store one time.
I Googled frozen food near me because we were trying to figure out more things to get for our freezer for more foods we could.
Frozen.
I just Googled frozen food near me.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were the 3 different things, and we can just go into those one at a time. I didn't exactly have an order for it, but I feel like trusting and waiting kind of go in line. In order to wait on God, we also need to trust God, and then the action required there is to seek. I think the first verse that, Luke, if you want to pull it up, is Proverbs 3, 5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understandings. Seek his will in all you do, and he will direct your paths. I believe it could be slightly off about that.
So the NIV that I have on here for Proverbs 3, 5-6, you pretty much had it. But trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight.
Yeah. So that verse really stood out to me of the foundation for the outline I was doing.
I do have something I was thinking about when you provided this verse last week, but I was just thinking how it's saying, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways submit to him, and he'll make your path straight. And I was thinking along with patience, you said timing and trust. It's how can we follow someone if we don't trust them?
Right.
And obviously there's different examples of work. You have to, follow or submit to your bosses, stuff like that. But someone that you genuinely want to follow, like how can you follow them if you don't trust them? So I think it's super important that we learn how to trust who God is first. And I think it's going to be a lot easier or more doable than to start following his ways. Because if we're trying to follow him but we don't trust him, I don't feel like we're going to get very far.
Yeah, very true. I guess another verse that you could look up is Lamentations 3:25-26. And while Luke is looking that up, this is more so just talking about like waiting and like what it looks like to wait on the Lord. So Luke, whenever you're ready.
All right, so Lamentations 3, chapter 3, verse 25-26. It says, "The Lord is good to those who hope is in him. To the one who seeks him, it is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord."
I feel like just like with all of these verses, like those words kept sticking out to me, like trust, wait, seek. So like that's kind of why I titled it the way that I did. So I think with waiting, I feel like a lot of times in my life where I just treat God like a magic genie, of the fact that I'm waiting for him to do like this miracle in my life, and just like waiting around, like Lord, why aren't you helping me with this? Why aren't you doing this? And just like continuously just waiting there, just being patient. Not my best at the patience thing, but yeah, I feel like I'm just waiting around and just expecting like some miracle to happen. And like, that's clearly not how that works. Like you were saying before, you have to trust in the Lord in order to gain that patience. But I just feel like that there's, in that waiting builds that trust. Something could take a year, 2 years, however long that it can take. But with that waiting period, I feel like that's when you really do find that trust with the Lord. And it's really, really hard for sure. I mean, there's been several things in my life where I've had to wait for so long for healing, for different opportunities, just, all sorts of stuff. But
so you need to trust God in order to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also have to wait in order to trust better or learn how to trust?
Wait, say that again.
So you started off by saying we need to trust in order for us to be able to wait.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you said. I'm just wondering, do you also have to kind of wait for God to help you learn or help teach you how to trust him better?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would say yes to that. Because God, we need to learn patience, right? So we have to be patient because there's times when we are going to just have to be patient and sit in that time in our life and still be in prayer and everything like that. But if God gave us everything right away when we wanted it, or we didn't have to wait very long, there's not a lot of faith or trust involved in that, right? So for example, when I was growing up, if I just like asked my parents for a car, they're like, yeah, look, here you go, here's your car. Or I asked for like a cell phone right away and they just gave it to me right away. Like, that's cool. I got what I wanted, but I'm not learning how to be patient in that. I'm not learning how to work for it. Not that we need to be working, but compared to maybe my parents, like, we'll get you a car, but not right now because you're too young. You don't have your license yet. Let's wait until you mature more. You're a safer driver. And then down the road when you graduate or something, we're going to provide the vehicle for you. Not maybe when I want it because I want to go around driving, having fun. But maybe during that time, with my immaturity, I would be reckless, get into an accident, hurt myself, hurt someone else. So I think it's so important that we learn to trust, to wait, and understand that God's timing is a lot more. It's so much more than our timing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because think about it. If you just received everything when you wanted it on your time, like how much that's gonna mess up your life.
Yeah.
Like if you got your driver's license, prematurely, like you'd be a little bit more reckless and you wouldn't have that respect for it, or you're given something that you're just not ready for.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is that time aspect to it of like God is going to give you something or take something away on his time, because ultimately our time, like our view of things is always going to be skewed, because we're human.
I do want to go back to off of like Proverbs 3:5-6. Another verse that I had here is John 14:6, and it says, Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So I think that's a really important thing too, is we're wondering, why should we trust God? Or why should we be patient for God? And it says here that we are not the way, we are not the truth, we are not the life. It's God is the way, God is the truth, and God is the life. And that's a good reminder that he's so much more and so much bigger than us. And his plan is so much more important than our selfish, lustful, greedy time and plans that we have.
Yeah, you can't really like rely on your own thoughts. You kind of just have to lean on God and trust he knows the best way for you and stuff. Because like when you start relying on your thoughts, start wandering quite a bit.
Also talk about disappointment. Do you guys feel like when we have a plan in mind that we have something set up exactly how we want it, like I'm going to graduate this time, I'm going to get this job this time, I'm going to get married at this time, I'm going to have a house and kids at this time, I'm going to pay off that debt in this time, I'm going to break free of that addiction at this time, and then it doesn't happen because it's our timing, it's our plan, it's our goal. Do you guys feel like there's a lot of disappointment when it comes to that?
Oh, totally.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a lot of I statements. I want this, I want that, I need this.
Why couldn't I have accomplished that?
Yeah, exactly.
But
and not that
super disappointing.
Not that those are bad things. Like those are all good goals to have, but it's when we put our feet forward and put God in the back seat and we take the driving wheel. Now, compared to if we understand, let's say we desire something, but if we can take a step back and align our goals, not trying to have God change his will to our will, but it's us redirecting our will towards what God wants. Imagine you're in a river and you're kayaking upstream, right? Like it's possible you can do it, but you're putting more time, more energy, more effort going upstream, and you're not going to go as far in a period of time, right? Now imagine you turn around and you go with the current downstream. It's a lot easier. It's a lot less energy, right? You're able to take less paddles and you're going to go faster and farther with less energy compared to going upstream. And that's kind of how I picture is we are constantly trying to like fight against God's will, where we are trying to white knuckle our way through. And sure, you can move. It's doable. You could accomplish things, but compared to the plan that God has, I think it's going to be a lot more, I don't want to say smooth, but it'll work out in God's plan a lot more.
I like that analogy a lot, though. It makes a lot of sense. I was just going to ask you guys of like, where in your life recently have you felt this challenge, and like with God's timing, and like where has it succeeded, where has it not? For me personally, 2024 wasn't my best year. Like I don't know, it was chaotic. I know with Milo and I joked around a lot, like, oh, it was just chaos all summer. But yeah, it wasn't my best year. I wasn't doing mentally very well. I kind of just gave up, to be honest. Like I was just eating crap food all the time and just really honestly just give up on myself. And yeah, I mean, it got to be a pretty dark time, and that built up, and I just I just ran out of options, and I was just not really aligning my life with God how I should be, and just trying to make this year much better than last year. And I put a lot of pressure on that. And as you guys know, like that did not work out well for me. You know, like my timing compared to God's timing, I was like, oh, this is going to be my year. Like 2025 is going to be, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go there. I'm going to have all this stuff. And I just jumped into things too quickly, got burned there and just spiraled. You know, I just had a complete mental breakdown of just like everything was just happening all at once. And it just was like, it just all happened so fast too. And I think that was the biggest indicator for me that I was trying to, I have been so self-focused that like I thought I could just do everything on my time, and that like I had this plan ahead of me that like this is what I was going to accomplish, like it was going to be my year. And then God was just like, no, like dude, this is like my year. And he's been showing me that over the past couple of months. But I think yeah, like when we try to swim upstream, like what Luke was saying, that like yeah, we can still move, but we're not going to get very far. You know, there's going to be a certain point. And for me, that took some beating down and exposing some things that I needed to surface and to get help on, because otherwise I was just going to keep trying to swim upstream, swim past those problems. And look where that got me. Didn't get me very far. And God just completely switched directions and made that like so clear in my life. And then I was able to see it of like, oh yeah, that was all these plans were on my timing. But if I would have just trusted God and I knew like the right path, that it would have turned out, you know, so much differently. But I don't regret it, because that is the best way you can learn, is by, you know, God redirecting your path. But yeah, recently that's kind of how God has shown me there.
You failed? Good.
Yeah. Good.
You fell on your face?
Jocko Willing.
Good.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah. And I also like to think too of like a potter molding like clay into a certain shape. And it's probably going to be ugly at first. It's all messy, but then afterwards, as the potter continues to work, you create like something beautiful, like a cup or a bowl or something. And I like to think that when we learn how to submit to God's will and we allow him like going downstream to direct us, he can start to mold us into the person he created us to be. Compared to trying to fight against that and try to do our own thing. It's not going to be as beautiful as it could be then.
There's a lot of things in my life that I wanted to have accomplished by now and haven't. I guess that's kind of what we're talking about. But I don't know. It would be a long discussion to go through all of them.
Sure.
I'll tell you guys about one of them.
That's fair.
Ever since I was little, I always wanted to have a 6-pack. And when I was 8 years old, I remember like looking in the mirror and saying, I don't like how I look and I want to be fit. And I'm going to work out really hard and I'm going to have a 6-pack like my cousins do. Okay. I am 28 years old. I've never had a 6-pack. Like, it's been 20 years of working out. I've never had a 6-pack.
But we have tacos.
Part of this is I don't think I'm predisposed to that, because like a lot of people that I know and in my family, like, you know, they as just like casually living, you know, they're like shredded. I'm not like that. Mm-hmm. So many times, like, okay, like if you grow up as being the chubby kid, like some people kind of like embrace that. They're like, they don't really care. Mm-hmm. I did care when I was young, and there was many times where I was mad that like I really want to be fit. I want to look good, and somehow I just like never get there, you know.
And I don't know. You have a crazy transformation, though.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Sorry.
I don't cook.
I've been mad at God many times for that. But over the years, I've learned some things about myself. One, I was actually prideful. Like I wanted this thing that I didn't have, right? And it's not necessarily wrong to want to look good or to
Sure.
want to be shredded,
Mhm.
but I was like worshiping it. That was my God, and one of my gods. And part of me not ever accomplishing that is God teaching me, hey, this thing that you want so bad, you're never going to get it. Like maybe you will one day, but you're never going to get it while you're worshiping it, you know, and I'm just going to hold you here until you submit to me.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And then another thing, like a more positive part is I needed to be taught discipline because I didn't have a lot of discipline. I didn't, I needed to have something to shoot for and to never really get it so that it would force me to build habits that I would just never break. And so ever since I was little, I haven't gone more than like a week my whole life since I was like 8 years old without doing some sort of exercise. And I didn't play sports or anything. I did do martial arts when I was younger, but a lot of it was self motivating. Like, I knew I needed to teach myself to implement this habit or I would never get to my goal. So I do think that was like a positive thing God was teaching me. There was like this prideful, idolatrous thing that God still wants me to get rid of. Like, I'm not going to say I'm free of that.
Sure.
But it did teach me to rethink working out, rethink being fit. So I think at this point, it's not so much I want to be fit. I want to look good so that I can like flex on people. It's I want to be fit so I can be healthy. What's up, Brandon?
Sit right there, boss.
Oh gosh.
What's happening?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Last week I broke your
Yeah.
mic. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude, I moved it an inch and it broke, and I did it twice.
We'll get it. We're taking care of it.
Why mine?
Look at you in your
Was
scrubs.
it personal?
What?
Was it personal?
Maybe a little.
I figured.
I feel like it's been a minute since we don't have Noah here, but
Yeah,
we
where's
almost had the
Noah's
full. He is not here.
Oh,
I don't know. He'll be there tonight though.
okay.
So
Revenge of DC.
how was work?
It was good.
Yeah.
You made it through.
Did you wipe some butts?
Yeah. Can I tell a story? So
Yes.
you know how today I had mismatching shoes.
Yeah, you did.
So
Crazy
how I
person.
figured that out was my patient, like we have these computers like on wheels that like lock. And my
Okay.
patient was trying to get into the bathroom and it was locked in front of the door, and so she couldn't move it. And then she ended up just like dumping it all over the floor. She just pooped everywhere. And I walked in and I was like, what the heck is going on in here? And she's like, oh, I couldn't make it. So
Dude.
I was like on the ground, like cleaning it up or whatever, kind of contemplating like why I went to school for 5 years to do this.
Right.
And then I was like, oh dude, my shoes aren't matching. And then soon I realized that I grabbed the wrong pair of shoes. So yeah,
That's the most
that was
great
the
random
highlight.
thing ever.
That was like the highlight of my day.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you got to do that.
Yeah. What were you guys just talking about before I came in?
What were you just finishing up saying?
So we're talking about trusting God and how you need to trust God in order to be patient and wait for his plans for your life. So if you have a goal, you have to trust and wait. It's Joey's subject. He should explain.
Yo, yeah.
No, you're good, dude.
Trust,
keep
wait,
going.
pray. Is that what it was?
And I was just saying that ever since I was like 8 years old, I still remember this very vividly. I don't know what I was doing, but like I remember like looking in the mirror at Auntie Norma's house and
Okay.
like
Which
and
one?
saying,
The big one right by the
yeah,
stairs?
the big bathroom.
of course.
Yeah, I was looking in the mirror at my body and I'm like, I don't like how I look, and I want to be shredded like my cousins, you know, like Kuya Mark, Kuya Brian, or
Yeah.
whoever.
Did Uncle make a remark to you too?
Maybe. I
ever
don't
get
know.
things
Yeah, I
up?
got a lot of that, but I don't remember what it was that caused me to think that way. But I remember like from that point when I was 8, I wanted to be shredded. I wanted to be fit. And I was just saying, like, it's been 20 years. I've never had a six pack, like this whole time.
Mhm.
And part of that could be just like bad strategy. Like I need to learn how my body works and how my appetite works. There's a lot of things that go into it. But there's been times in my life where I really resented God for making me the way I am. So I just have never been able to accomplish my goal. And in reflecting on this for 2 decades now, I've realized, one, I was worshiping this thing. I was worshiping, this is my God. I wanted to be fit. I wanted to be shredded, and I wasn't worshiping God. I was worshiping this goal, or worshiping myself. It was a prideful goal. And so God was like, nope, you're not going to accomplish it until you let that go. And also God needed to teach me discipline, so that I needed to implement these good habits, which working out is a good habit. But I think God wanted me to lock those things in. Like, you're going to just keep on grinding at this thing, even though you never get to accomplish your goal, until it's like locked, so that you'll never stop working out or trying to be fit. So those are just some of my reflections, I guess, on, oh yeah. And also one more thing, reframing what working out is in my mind, because I at this point, I don't think it's good to think of working out, at least for me. Like, maybe Miranda has a different view on this, because she's competing as a bodybuilder and it's all about aesthetics. For me personally, it's not good for me to think about working out as aesthetics, because, or as like thinking about working out as the goal being aesthetics, because it just makes me like worship myself again. So I've had to rethink working out as trying to be healthy, or trying to be stronger so that I can fight, or, different things that are not so focused on like how I look.
So more like the health benefit side of it.
Yeah, I think for me, those are healthier goals to have.
I would agree.
Spiritually, than trying to look good. That's not a healthy goal for me, and that's one of the things that God was teaching me. So, trusting God, yeah, I'm trying to trust God, and I've been waiting a long time. So, I think I'm there. But that's one that stands out to me when we talk about this subject.
So do you think it's helped you then overall just with patience with other areas of your life, and then also a new perspective of looking at things? Or are you still kind of frustrated with him, kind of like, hey, I've been waiting?
No,
or like, it's been 2 decades.
No, I'm not frustrated anymore. I mean, maybe there's a little bit, but like 95% of me is not frustrated about it anymore.
Especially compared to what it was.
Yeah. I've let go of a lot of that. And I think God needed to teach me that. So yes, it has helped me in other areas, other goals that I have that I haven't accomplished yet, to just let go and be like, it's just like the working out thing. It's gonna take time, and God's teaching you something along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you're able to learn that throughout that time. So
yeah, everybody's got like their own goals, or that they haven't accomplished yet, that God's going to teach you through.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the hard parts of all this is seeing, like, from beginning to end of like the whole scope of God's work. Like, especially in the beginning, it's so hard to see like why we have a lot of these questions of like, why God, when God, why isn't this turned out this way? We have a lot of questions at the beginning asking him, because we just don't fully understand the bigger picture. And I think that's what makes it so hard. So like, if in my life, when my sister passed away, that was like an extremely hard thing to wrestle with, of like, why would a loving God take away my sister? And that was a question I wrestled with for so many years. And that was something that took several years, almost a decade now, for me to see the bigger picture and what he did and why he did it. Not fully him, but like the outcome of it all, and the timing of it, and what it has done in my life, and like what it's done in my parents' life and my siblings' life. And those were some of those hard questions of like, why God? And I think within those not understanding his timing in the beginning is what led me to just want nothing to do with him, because I wasn't getting any of those answers. Like, none of those answers were being like that quick answer I was telling you guys before of like just being so impatient with God. Like, hey, just be the magic genie, tell me why you would do this right now. Like, why can't she get married and have kids? And, this whole future, I don't understand what the purpose was, why she's passed away, like, why now? And that was something that I had to wrestle with for a super long time. And I feel like just as of recently, within, the past couple of years, I've been really seeing that, because partial reason is for my testimony. It's like a huge, like Vanya was saying, like, testimony is like something that no one can take away from you. And I feel like but I feel like, I don't know how I want to say this, but drawing a blank. But like the way that I use my testimony is like, if I were to try to convert someone to Christianity in those early years, that would not have happened. Like I just wasn't ready in my life to do that. I wasn't confident in my mourning. Like, I was still mourning in my grief, and I would just not be in a spot to where I feel like I could actually do the Lord's work. And I love saying that. And
doing the Lord's work. Like,
I just the timing of that. So it took many, many years for me to like build up my confidence, so where I can share that story with anyone now. Like, even if you would have asked me 5 years ago, it would have been a struggle for me to like get through that story. But over the years, like, now I'm more confident. I can use my testimony to help others and to show that there still is hope in this world. A little ironic for my own life, but
Do you feel like it's helped in other areas of your life just to take a different angle at things, of situations, of why things are happening?
What do you mean?
So with your sister, you were wondering for like it's been like 10 years almost now.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying how you just kept wrestling, and you saw wrestling with like why.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the things that you have been learning, you've been able to apply in other situations in your life with like a different lens now, possibly? Kind of like how Milo has learned more patience.
Okay.
With like what he was learning. Have you like learned something that you've been able to apply to your life from that situation?
Yeah, I think just overall gratitude. I feel like that's a work in progress though.
Yeah.
I do get trapped in the woe is me and like, oh, life sucks. But I think overall gratitude, just waking up and realizing that, life is short, and am I going to just waste this day, or am I going to do my best to, live it out for my sister and for the Lord, So I think that has helped that area. That's a question I'd have to think about a little bit more.
Nice. Brenda, what do you got? What do you got? Some thoughts on trust, patience, everything about life, all the answers. What are all the answers here?
What are all the answers?
Yeah, you're supposed to have all the answers. That's in my notes.
Well, all the main answers are in a little book called the Bible.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, kind of how you're talking about how you feel that your faith has just like, upped like tenfold in the past like few years. I feel for a while my spiritual journey had just kind of hit like a plateau. And honestly, like within the past, I don't know, maybe like 6 months, maybe a little bit less, I feel like I've just learned so much just by like diving into the Bible so much more. And then it kind of started with On Guard, honestly. After you gave us that book, I was like,
nice.
All right, I got to like lock in and like try to learn something that's like, I don't know, just very different. And I was coming off of like NCLEX and all that, and I had more time, and I always desired to like grow further in my faith. But I think within the past like 6 months, like, man, I've gotten through so much in the Bible, and like there's still so much to go. That's the tough part. And that's honestly kind of relating to this, like where I need to be patient. I feel like I've messaged you before where I'm just like, there's so much information in the Bible. It's extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because like when I'm sitting down, like I like to go to coffee shops and like study in the mornings, and my mind will just like race with questions, and I'm just like hopping around. And I've gotten a little bit better at like focusing on one thing that I want to study. So like a couple weeks ago, I was just doing like all the parables or whatever. And like I was like, okay, I'm just going to go through parables and like that's it. Like I don't need to reach into like Proverbs or like Romans or anything. Like even though everything's connected, like I just need to like focus on something. So kind of gaining patience and just understanding that I'm never going to fully understand the Bible, and there will always be new verses, and there was always going to be new stories or new information that I'm learning. But like it's the process that matters. And I think it goes such a long way in my faith that I'm at least like trying.
Yeah.
But
that's like one of the things I have in my like for the outline is like trust, wait, and seek.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's the whole seek aspect. Shout out Noah.
Aspect.
The whole seeking thing of like you're seeking and you're doing that action that's required.
Yeah.
And through that seeking, you're also trusting that the Lord is going to, and that the Holy Spirit's going to work in through those moments of you going through the Bible. And like, yes, there's like so much and it's confusing, but you're trusting and you're waiting in that the Lord and the Holy Spirit are going to work in you, and it's going to become more clear and obvious, going through those verses and those parables.
Yeah.
And there's no way there's always room for learning.
Yeah.
No matter how much we study or learn,
insane.
it's like even the most educated people in the Bible aren't even close to knowing everything. So
And
it's just,
there are different perspectives that people have about certain things. There's not like one absolute way that people interpret things. Like for some things, obviously, but for a lot of things, I'm just finding that like even with the parables, like there are multiple ways that people like translate them. Some that I seem to find more correct than others, but like that's just what makes it so difficult. And like it's not our job to like learn everything in the Bible before we make it to heaven. But yeah. So just working on patience with that. But I feel in those moments when I'm in that coffee shop and I'm just like there, like I just feel closest to God during those times. Like I honestly, I get kind of emotional, like, cause I just feel God's presence with me. And it's just like, it's just really beautiful to have that so frequently. Cause I feel like that would only really happen like when I'd be in like a worship service or something, they'd play a really cool song. They like Waymaker or something, banger song. Check it out. It's like 8 minutes
okay.
long.
I was crying in a coffee shop one time in Thailand.
Oh, really?
People were probably thought I was really weird.
Yeah. I gotta like kind of hide
I
myself.
feel that.
I go in the corner. I'm just like just bawling to myself. But
Coffee shops do it for you guys, huh?
yeah. Shout out Ethan, because I feel like I saw him at what is the one down the street from Crossway?
Oh,
Coffee
Latitude?
shop? Yeah, it was Latitudes one time, and it was just like his whole aesthetic. I was like, dude, he's just I don't know. He was like just chilling there. He had his
He
glasses on,
belongs
and
in
he
a
was, like,
coffee shop.
Like he was just like going at it, and I had a feeling that he was probably like reading the Bible or something, and I was like, his whole aesthetic right now is doing it. So I was like, once I started like going to coffee shops, like I'm like Ethan.
That's cool.
But it's just I like that aesthetic of just like gaining knowledge basically, or wisdom really.
But I think it's good like you have the coffee shop for a place where you can focus. I think it's also important to remove ourselves from our daily routine into a place of focus and worship where it's not just a place where you're distracted. That's what I found is I need to put my phone down. It needs to be somewhere else. I need to be like in a chair where I'm just focused and I'm not distracted by that, because I need to give God the time that he deserves. So
What about Wesley-san?
Wesley-san?
I would just say like patience in like quitting smoking cigarettes and stuff. Just kind of
Remember, this is going on the internet. Now. More people are going to hold you accountable.
oh jeez.
Oh, jeez.
But just trusting God that he's actually gonna like lead me down the path of actually being able to quit and stuff. And like I feel like I've been kind of relying on my own strength and power to like do it myself. And just trusting that God will eventually like show me his his strength and power to actually like be able to like quit.
Yeah.
And like I think he's kind of leading me towards like reading his word a lot more too, like through it. So I think that's kind of maybe why he's like entrusting me with this burden, I guess that's kind of like a way to look at it. But so like I guess I'm kind of like learning through it, and I guess I need a lot of prayer still of
we all
quitting.
do.
So
Yeah. Well, it definitely will be 100%.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing. Like for me, for lust, for example, like God could take away my lustful thoughts and desires, right? He has done that before with people, with, you know, performing miracles and just taking those things away. But I could sit back and just say, okay, God, like I'm ready for you to take away my lust. And I could just sit there and be like, why am I still having these lustful thoughts and desires? Like, why am I still doing these things? But I have to realize too that God can and will work through me, but I also have to, like, in my end, and this is something I'm still working on, like I have to take action. Like, am I in the word reading and equipping myself? Am I purposely avoiding situations that could cause me to have these lustful thoughts, which could cause me to stumble and act upon these thoughts?
Right.
Like, am I putting myself in a bad situation? Am I looking at something I shouldn't be looking at? Or am I just like making excuses like, oh, well, God's just going to take care of it and I'll just keep going about my day? I think I need to, an example for all of us, it's like, God, like I said, God can take that away completely. But I feel like a lot of times God will give us the tools like he has, and he will guide us. But we also have to take action on our end to equip ourselves. Like I said, be in the word, do these things that God teaches us to do, you know, avoid the things that he says that's going to cause destruction and death. And we have to run towards him, towards life. So it's difficult. Like it's not an easy thing. Any type of addiction or like any type of sinful nature that we have, we just have to be careful that we don't make the excuse of, oh God, I'm waiting for God to take care of it.
Do you guys think, like with God's timing, that he won't take away something, even though it's something that we're struggling with? Do you think that his timing of when he takes it away, like, is gonna result in us like not spending time with him? So like what I mean is like, I don't know how I'm trying to say this.
What do you mean take it away? Because I don't think
Maybe not take it away, but like
help us have more control over it.
Yeah, because like if he were to just take it away and then we stop coming to him, right? And like that was our time with him. Like we were praying a lot more. And do you think that God would is like not like prolonging it, but
no, I think
I don't know
he
how I'm
always
trying to say it.
desires for us to overcome temptation and turn to him. And I don't think it's really that God takes away sins in a sense. I think he equips
that's
us.
the best word to say. But
No, it's all good. I think it's more so he equips us with tools to help us overcome sin. But the truth is, we're just in our being, in what we are, we're just sinful and we're going to sin, and that's just this life. And I mean, he takes away our sins at the end when we, take into account for our sins.
And I do believe he can change your heart. He can change. I think he can reconstruct your thought process too, right? So maybe through an addiction or through a sinful nature that you always thought about or looked at it one way, and God convicted you and he works through you. And then over time with practice and discipline, maybe he helps you to refocus your thoughts in a more godly way, I guess, if that makes sense. So maybe like you had a problem with drinking and you just see it as like, I understand now that's destructive for me and I want to drink, but I understand it's bad and I'm going to choose not to. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, where sin is, there's an opportunity to turn to God for it. Yeah. So I don't think it's like,
And we all have free will, right? So we just read the verse last night where it says, God does not give you anything that you can't.
1 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Check the specs.
I mean, I had this.
Dude, I finally got to that chapter in 1 Corinthians. I was like, this is a banger verse. I think it's like in chapter 10, right? 10, 11, or 12.
Let's see here.
that'll really.
No, we had to look it up. I'll look it up later, but it talks about like God gives us, we always have an option to say yes or to say no.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, more so than not, we're going to fail, but we do have that ability to choose the right decision. And it's just like learning how to, once again, trust that God's way is best, right? He says, once again, was it John? Let me hold on. Let me pull up here. It says, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to me except for the Father. So we have to trust that He's the way, He's the truth, that He is the life, and that our thoughts, our decisions, our sinful desires are not the way.
Just want to comment on Joey's question real quick. I have heard of people like when they give their life to Jesus, they just lose the desire to smoke, or and so I think like that's a miraculous event where God is changing something in their heart. Whether or not He could do that to anyone, I don't know, because maybe it depends on people's will as well. I'm not sure. Regardless, it does happen to some people, but those people never stop having trials that they have to go through that force them to draw closer to God.
That's true.
Like in this life, there's never going to be a complete change of heart, a complete repair of our sinful state. So you could have it in some areas, but then God uses other areas to change you in other ways over a long period of time. So
I found the verse really quick. So it's like you said, it's 1 Corinthians 10, chapter 10, verse 13. It says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. I think it's important to note that when it says, but when you are, noting that we are going to be tempted. And then at the end it says, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. So we are told that we will be tempted. Obviously, we know that, but we are given the option we have that out. And God always provides that, however that may look. So
that's an encouragement for the whole pray. Wait, what is it? Ask, seek, pray.
Eat, pray, love.
Wait.
Trust, wait, seek.
eat, sleep,
Love,
work out.
live. What is it?
Just all
Cook.
trust, wait,
Yeah, all
seek.
those 3 word cook, love, whatever. Okay. What was it? What is this whole thing about?
Trust, waiting, and
Dude,
seeking
I'm like coming
God's
off a 12
timing.
hour shift. I'm kind of like drowsy. Trust, wait, seek.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wait, trust, seek.
There you go. In whatever
Sure.
order, they're interchangeable. No, I think that's a an encouragement. I mean, like we've said, like we're never gonna fully overcome sin. That's not really something that we can do as humans. But maybe if we're battling with something, we can understand that God will never allow us to be fully like overtaken by that. Like we have the tools to overcome it with Him and to avoid being tempted and like being able to endure those struggles. So, it's not like, oh, now I read that verse, now I can just overcome anything. But I think if we continue to pray and continue to follow after Christ, like with time, I think, certain addictions and certain sins like won't have the kind of mastery over us that they used to.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone have anything like that in their lives that through God's timing, He removed something or He gave you something that it was like something you were either really struggling with or something that was just bad for you, or a certain path or a certain situation that you really saw Him work in your life and you're like, oh, like that makes a lot of sense. Has there ever been a time?
I'm gonna make these real quick and I'll let someone else talk. A couple years back, I struggled with jealousy,
Oh, geez.
and
Clumsy.
I
Are
feel
you jealous of Joey's rocks?
yeah, dude. I'm a little
Yes.
envious of those agates. No, it's I used to really struggle with jealousy and like wishing that I had a different life or a different look or a different body or whatever. And I feel like with time, I've just kind of like gotten to a point, like I'm sure I get jealous about little things like here and there. Like I don't think I've ever like fully overcome jealousy. I don't think I could, but like it's so much better now where like I'm just here to like live my life for God as best I can, and like people are gonna do it in like different ways, and just because someone has like more than you doesn't mean that they like struggle less in life.
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah, absolutely.
so I think that's something that with time I've had to be like patient with that, but God has like helped me through that.
It's awesome. Also, like maybe any advice too that you guys have through like those experiences, like what it looks like. That's something that's helped you through waiting or through trust.
I would say, I don't know if I have a specific example, but more so like, I've talked about it, like cherry picking as a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I know, especially the last 2 to 3 years has been a big change. Has been a big change to, it's a lot more what I was thinking about of Christianity, because it was like, okay, and I actually heard someone was saying there's a man and there's like 2 yards and there's a fence, and on one side is Jesus and the other side is Satan, and they're both like, the time is coming, like, okay, so like who do you want to choose? Jesus like, do you want to choose me? And Satan's like, do you want to choose me? And the guy's like, well, I really like what Jesus' teachings are, like I think it's a great way to live. But Satan, like he's offering the world, and I can live my life like how I want to. And so he's deciding, he's having trouble decide. So he's like, well, I'm just going to sit on top of the fence. He's like, oh, this is great. Like I can be a Christian. I can go to church. I can have these, some of these morals and values, and like I'll be saved. But I can also decide when and how I want to live my life by living for Satan, like choosing these things. And the time comes when he has to like choose, and I believe they said like it gets dark and he feels like a hand grab him, and he looks and it's Satan, and he's surprised and he's scared. He's like, wait, I thought, I'm supposed to be with both of you. Like I didn't choose you, Satan. And Satan says, the fence belongs to me.
Mm.
And that really hit me too. And I mean, this is something I've already been working on, but this is something to think about. It's like the fence does belong to Satan, right? That's like Satan, that's all he cares about, is like, you can be on the fence or you can be on my side. Like that's what he wants. And what does God say about lukewarm Christians, right? He's going to spit us out of his mouth if you're lukewarm. He would rather have you hot or be cold. Hot as in being like hot on fire for Christ, or cold as in far and separated for him. So something that I struggled with is there are certain things in my life where I'm like, yeah, I'll go to church. I will say my prayers. I'll be in the Word. I'll go to Bible study. But there's gonna be certain things that I'm still gonna hold on to because I like to do this, because this is my escape, or I feel good by doing this. And from what we know, what Jesus teaches us in the Bible, like that's not what we can do. Like that's not what it means to follow Christ, to be a Christian. God paid the sacrifice. He died on the cross. He forgave us for our sins, and all he wants is you. All he wants is us. And by that, it means by dying to ourselves and picking up our cross and following him. And I wasn't necessarily dying to myself. I was kind of just trying to follow God when I wanted to. And then I'd stray off when I wanted to. And I'd find my way back to him. So my advice is get off that fence and run to Jesus and get on that side, because that's the side of life and of ultimate freedom. And don't waste your time playing that lukewarm game, because it's not worth it. So it's difficult. The life of following Jesus is not easy, but it's the best life that you can live. And it's very rewarding too. So that's my encouragement. That's my advice. And that was something I'm still continuing to work on it. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I am at times, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Like I say things or do things that
we all are.
Yeah. So, but I'm trying to be more 100% in. I know it's very difficult to. It's impossible to be 100% in, but I'm trying to work towards that. So
yeah.
Get off that fence.
Get off that fence. Anyone else have anything? Otherwise, I can wrap it up here.
I guess just like be in the Word as much as you can, just to kind of just show you help illuminate the light of the path of that you're supposed to be on and stuff, and like kind of like keep you steadfast in the way that God wants you to kind of go down, and then you can like learn to trust Him through reading the Bible and stuff too.
And it says, the path is narrow and few will enter. And once again, I don't know exactly where that is in Scripture, but it talks about, like the path is difficult to follow.
I think it's Sermon on the Mount, right?
I think so,
I
yeah.
believe so. Chapters 5, 6, or 7. One of those in Matthew.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you wanna go over Matthew 6:33 that you had?
Sure. Pull it up.
All right, so we have Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. It says, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own."
Yeah, I threw that one in there because that's just like another call to action. You know, we can't just sit around and expect God to be this genie, like I was saying before, of like, oh, you know, God's got me. Like he's gonna take care of this situation and do nothing about it. You know, it's like writing up a whole gym fitness workout and then like never actually doing the workout and just expecting the results. Like you get on the scale and you're just waiting for the number to go down and you haven't put in any of the work to do it.
Or go up.
Or go up in Luke's case, which he's trying to do. And yeah, so it's just that call to action. And I think that's just really important of all this is like, you know, it's frustrating to hear sometimes of, oh, just trust in God, you know, like sometimes that's all people can say. They're just, oh, just trust, you know, just continue to wait. And like, it is so true, but it also requires us to seek after him, you know, like what you were doing in your coffee shops is just like seek after him, never give up, and just you will build up that trust by seeking after the Lord. So that's kind of why I threw that verse in there. But obviously this is an area that I struggle with is like, I guess not being a leader, but for me to like plan all this out and to do all this is like a bit uncomfortable for me. I'm not very good at like keeping things on an outline. I'm more sporadic. So this is something that I wanted to like push myself to do because I can chime in no problem. But when it comes to like leading a topic like this, I know it's not my strong suit, but I just wanted to do it and just to like commit to it because I feel like that's where I need to grow in my walk with the Lord is to just do things that are going to make me slightly uncomfortable, but also that are going to push me to further my faith. You know, it takes time to write up these outlines and it takes time to plan it all out. And you have a way that you're going to set it up, you know, like Noah in his sermons, he's like, he'll do a whole sermon, you know, for like the whole week. And then he won't do like half of the stuff that is actually like in his sermon.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like, it's a hard thing for me to do, but you know, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we talked about this, but
You get some great points in like verses. I really like the lineup you had here. I do want to kind of, I don't know if you had want more to say on Matthew 6:33. If any of you guys had anything to say.
Seek first the kingdom. That was it. Yeah. Yeah, go check out the episode.
That's right. Yeah, we did. I mean, we've done 4 parts on Sermon on the Mount. We'll
that
be
was
doing
probably
a
the first
5th
one.
Hmm?
That was probably the first one.
Probably
No.
second.
That was
Because chapter
Oh.
6 or 3, 2
Probably
or 3.
3,
Okay.
3
Yeah.
or 4. I don't remember
5
where we
or
left
6.
off. No, I think it was definitely 4 because we haven't hit chapter 7 yet, right?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
Okay, so 4. Check it out.
Yeah,
check it out.
Yeah, and it's easier. Like like Joey said, it's so much easier said. Like, oh, don't worry about tomorrow. Like God will provide.
Mhm.
But He will. And once again, it's all about trust. And it's just, I know it's just words, but we have examples of like learn how to trust God and be patient and how He's molded us, and we've learned things through the process.
Absolutely.
Can I read Isaiah 55:6 that you had?
Mhm.
All right. So yeah, Joey's had another verse he recommended. So it's gonna be Isaiah chapter 55 verse 6. It says, "Seek the Lord while He may be found; call on Him while He is near." When I was reading this last week and this week, this one hit me pretty hard too. And I think a lot of us take this for granted. I mean,
What was the part that hit you hard about it?
just while He's here now. I think the more so on like while we are here, while we are alive, like we have an opportunity to seek the Lord now. And this now is not promised tomorrow or the next day or the following weeks, months, or years. Right? So from what I know, like we're saved here. Once again, only God can judge. We can see by the fruits that we bear, but for people out there, like we are alive today, but we might not be promised that tomorrow. And God is waiting and he's pursuing us now. So I think that's really important. Even if you are following Christ and you're iffy about it, like God is waiting now. And it's so important because like I said, we are not promised tomorrow. And don't lose that opportunity.
Also, kind of going back to this reminds me of like a couple of parables that Jesus talks about. One main one is like, I don't know if it's called this, but the parable of the thief in the night, where it's basically like an owner is gone and there's like a watchman on the porch or whatever. And like, he has no idea like when the thief is going to like strike. So he has to be ready at all times. And that kind of relates to like Jesus's second coming. Like we have no idea. I mean, we could press end on this and we hear the trumpets or something, and then that's it. And that was, that was what we had. Or there's another parable about like 10 virgins or something about like having oil for their lamps. I gotta check the specs again. It's been a while, but basically, like there were some that were foolish and didn't prepare for the arrival of the.
Sorry.
No, I know.
He put himself in another corner.
No,
he did it again.
It's literally not even my fault. That's actually what the parable is. So just being on guard at all times. Like we can't think that we have all this time. Because like, obviously if we knew when the thief was coming, we could clear up all of our problems before then. And, we'd be like, oh, well, I got like 20 years. Like I'll figure it out then. But we have no idea when Jesus is returning. So.
That's a really good point.
I got one for you guys, which is exactly related to what you're talking about.
Bring the heat.
Here we go.
Proverbs 6:6-11. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise.
That's so aggressive.
It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man.
Dang.
I actually don't think of this so much as like get up and grind because you might be poor. I think of this all the time if I'm sinning. I think of this verse all the time. Like, how long will you continue to sleep? How long will you continue to do this?
Or could that be mean like you're comfortable in your sin?
Yeah.
But you're sitting in it and you're waiting.
Yeah.
And you're not getting up to correct those actions.
Yeah. And your poverty will arrive like an armed man.
Dang. I like that verse a lot. And sluggard's just a funny word just to use. Like, you sluggard.
I just wasn't expecting it. That's why.
You can't throw a curveball in there, Milo.
Yeah, right. And you said it so like with such emphasis, like, you sluggard.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the energy.
Yeah. Did you have anything else on the topic that you had planned or anything?
No, I mean, it's just an encouragement to, maybe you're in a waiting period right now and you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, but as everyone else has probably told you, just continue to wait and trust in the Lord, and don't be stagnant in that. Just continue to seek God through the Word and do your best there, and the Lord will show you His way, like He's shown us in plenty of other different ways.
And please remember that if you are in a period or a time in your life of waiting, and you feel like God is not taking action or calling you, like, go in the Word. Because if you feel like you're not hearing the voice of God, it's because you're not in the Word. And that's something I struggle with too, is it's like a lot of, I'll pray and I'm trying to work on being in silence and meditate. And then just sit in silence to just be in presence with God, but also then being in the Word and stopping to listen. Because a lot of times, like I'll read the Bible and just be read, study, take notes, read, and then I close the Bible and I'm done. I'm like absorbing the information, but am I really like hearing the Word of God, like what He's trying to say to me in that moment? Because I could be missing out on a lot of blessings. I could be missing out on a lot of things that He's like, hey, Luke, let's fix this today, or I need you to go talk to this person, or whatever it might be. Because even if we are doing something good, we might not be in the right mindset of like the right heart about how we're going about it. So just be patient, read the Word, and take a second to be silent and really listen to what God's saying to you, because He speaks through the Word. Like those are His words. So we might not always hear the voice of God. I know I haven't really, I have at one point, but yeah, just be in the Word of God.
I like it. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. So good segment there, Joyce. I think that was a really good topic, something we can all work on. So be patient, guys. Trust in the Lord. I know it's easier said than done. You guys gave a lot of good points, a lot of good examples. And like we said, try not to swim upstream when you're kayaking or swimming. Allow God to mold you and direct you, and allow Him to set your path and not set your own path where it's going to be filled with disappointment. And a lot of times it's going to lead down the path of sin, destruction, and death. And, don't try to bend God's will to yours. We should be redirecting our will that's aligning with God's. So it's a good thing to think about. If you guys like this, please on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, give us 5-star ratings. That would be awesome. We'd appreciate it. And off of that, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share. This is the Campfire Council Podcast.
Boom.
Oh.